The Hamish and Andy Show podcast. Powered by Amy. Lucky you're with Amy.
3, 2, 1.
I had to teach my students about maths today, but I should have taught them about
Soccer.
I'm a chippy, and after cutting wood all day, it's time to cut the crap and talk.
Cutting goals for a soccer field.
Well, everyone's agreed to drop everything because it's 3 o'clock. And Hamish and Andy have declared today's topic is...
Soccer, a.k.a. round ball.
This is Hamish and Andy's Happy Hour.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hamish and Andy with you. Back for another happy hour where our kick-off topic, Ham,
Very good.
is soccer.
Good. Goal.
1 week out to today, Ham,
From the World Cup.
is when the World Cup starts.
And people don't like calling it soccer, Ando. They do prefer round ball or one of its more traditional names.
Football, maybe?
Yes.
That's been thrown around.
Toe push, as it was originally known.
It was originally known as toe push, yes.
And that's the, traditionalists will insist on calling it those things. But today, forgive us if we do call it soccer.
Well, the Toe Push World Cup does start in a week's time, Ham. Obviously, Australia's chances are a little bit grim.
We might not win.
Yeah, for people who don't follow it that closely, we are in the heart. We've got the hardest draw. We're playing some of the best soccer nations in the entire world.
If you haven't looked at world sport since the 2000 or the 2004 Olympic Games, where we did very well on the world stage, and you've not glimpsed at it since, you will be in for a rude shock. If you're choosing this year's World Cup to come back to appreciating Australia on the world field.
We have a way, though, that we can help Australia, and we're going to cover that off a little later on the show. And this is quite legit.
We'll get us to the semis at least.
We have a way where we think we can significantly improve the Australian soccer team, the Socceroos' chances.
Don't get us wrong, you won't meet any bigger fans of the team.
Yeah.
We're just trying to give them some honest advice.
40 minutes away, and the ticket. Now, we're hoping rival teams don't listen to this because they can also employ the strategy that we've kind of come across.
If you're listening to this at work and you work next to one of the international guys like Lionel Messi, if he works at your Boost Juice where you're listening to this, or any of the other stars from other teams, turn the radio off and don't let them hear our secrets revealed in 40 minutes' time. And straight after this, though, international soccer is not the only type of soccer. There are travesties all the way down to the junior ranks. We are going to attempt to right one of soccer's biggest wrongs after this.
Today's topic is soccer, but we must say that if you're not a sports fan, don't worry, don't tune out, because we're going to tackle so much more, and they're going to be safe tackles, not sliding in from behind.
Not the illegal button you use when you're playing soccer on your Xbox. And you don't have to be a soccer fan to appreciate this. I think you just have to be a fan of humanity. Because a travesty took place many years ago, and I was alerted to it by one of our happy chappies, one of our listeners, part of the team, Donnie. He joins us now. Donnie, how are you?
Good, thanks, fellas. How are you?
Really good, Donnie. Now, you're a student at the moment, is that correct?
Yep, in Year 12.
In Year 12. And a shining example of a fine young man on the verge of greatness.
Yeah, I would have thought. What do you want to get into, Donnie?
So back in the golden days of Year 8, our 8A soccer team went undefeated for the whole year.
Oh, sorry, that's the story you want to get into.
Yeah, sure.
I think Ando meant, what career do you want to get into?
But maybe he hasn't thought about anything.
Maybe has this incident has it derailed your whole life?
It probably has.
I think I'll just stick with this justice fighting right now.
Let's go to justice fighting. So sorry, start again.
Okay. Donnie, if you don't go as successfully at the end of Year 12 this year, are you going to cite an injustice back in Year 8, I understand?
How many points off your enter do you think this injustice would have cost you?
About 50.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So if you get under 50, you could have had 100.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay, so here we go. Tell Andy what happened in Year 8.
All right. Back in the golden days of Year 8, our 8A soccer team, we went undefeated for the whole year.
Yep.
Wow. And we just remember that glorious year was capped off with an incredible promise by our principal, Mr. Foley, about a free breakfast for the team.
Yeah.
And obviously, to the young mind, that was like a monumental moment in our lives.
So hang on, he's promised what kind of breakfast?
Like a ceremonial breakfast in front of, do you guys eat in front of the whole school?
Is it kind of like Jesus' Last Supper? You guys are right up at the front.
I don't know if they had an audience.
Well, someone was there to paint it.
That's true. They would have. They had a court-appointed portrait artist.
So what kind of brekkie were you promised?
Just a breakfast with the principal, that'd be enough.
Oh, right. So the
in one
big
of the-
cheese comes in himself.
Do you go to a school that has sort of like a formal room or,
Yeah.
somewhere used for fancy occasions?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And what would you expect to have as a meal? Is it a sit down?
Is it catered by the tuck shop?
Sure, why not?
Well, is that what you expected? I mean, we want to know because
Is it pancakes?
my
is it
guess
cereal? Is it continental or hot breakfast?
Continental, all decked out, I reckon. That'd be good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
Donnie,
sometimes at hotels, continental doesn't include eggs.
That'd be tough.
so you want eggs on it?
Do you want continental plus eggs?
I think we do. We need it for our tough bodies.
Okay, so Donnie, my understanding then, because the fact that you're still bringing this up 4 years later, is that you didn't get the breakfast.
Yeah, no, we
I was
didn't.
forgotten about.
Okay.
So, also, I think an important thing to point out here
How's
is it was the
Foley
8A. It was the
Oh,
8A
yeah.
team, which is... So it's not like the C grades, went
No.
undefeated playing because you were a school that had more kids than other schools.
No.
This is
Top of the mountain.
top of the... this is the top level team.
Yeah.
Now, a bunch of the guys from the 8A team still at school.
Oh, they're all at school and they're all wondering about the breakfast.
Of course, it's cost them 50 points apiece on their end.
And is it still... and is it still the same principal?
Yeah.
Well, let's try and track down Foley. If he's still at school,
Dan, if we
we've
can
got to
get,
go to a song.
if we
Donnie.
can get your principal up, if we can get Mr. Foley up,
Yep.
will
That'd be
you
awesome.
be happy for us to confront him on this issue?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll try and
Okay.
grab him after this. It's after this on the Happy Hour. Hamish and
We
Andy.
will not rest unless we can't get him.
And Haim, I mean, this is very exciting for a young man who, look, an injustice in his mind has
He
plagued
hasn't-
him for years and it's probably going to cost him 40 points at his end of year.
50.
So 50 points
He hasn't been
on
able
his
to,
enter score when he finishes year 12.
he hasn't been able to study properly for 4 years, and now he's in year 12, the most critical part of a student's life, and he's still distracted. All his textbooks remain sealed.
Yep.
He hasn't been able to focus. He's still got on the line. Johnny, you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny, long story short, your Year 8A soccer team, the top of the mound, as you put it, went undefeated for the whole season at your school. It was such a joyous occasion that you remember quite clearly your principal, Mr. Foley, promising you a celebratory breakfast for the whole team. We assume that we take that to mean a continental plus eggs.
Yes, and it was never forthcoming.
And it never happened.
Is that correct,
Yeah,
Donnie?
that's
Yeah.
it. That's
Well,
it.
good news for you, and you can sit tight there, but we've managed to track down Mr. Foley, the acting principal at Ivanhoe Grammar. Mr. Foley, thank you very much for joining us. We know you're busy.
Afternoon, Hamish and Andy. How are you?
Very
How are you,
good,
Johnny?
very good, Mr. Foley. Now you've heard the recounting of events that took place, I would assume, in 2010.
First question would be, Mr. Foley, do you remember promising the 8A soccer team a breakfast in celebration of an undefeated season?
It's funny you should say that, Hamish and Andy. I actually do remember that.
Oh,
Really?
So he's not
I
backing
do
down.
remember it, despite it being a while ago, and I can honestly say that I prepared this amazingly special invitation for the team, but something strange happened to that invitation, and whilst I can't recall exactly what it was, it was either I left it on the bench and someone spilt something on it.
Sure.
Well, you're doing a bit of a dog got my homework.
Absolutely.
Don't make it. We're going to need a note. We're going to need a note from your mum.
I had it in my hand when I arrived at school, and a gust of wind blew it away. My mum threw it out by mistake.
Feel like
I
you're.
lost the USB stick.
Feel like you might be pinching some of the students' best work here.
Okay, so
And
yeah.
but I, as you just mentioned, I actually genuinely do remember what did happen to it,
Yep.
and our dog did eat it.
Okay. So, Mr.
Oh,
Foley.
no. Wow, it just
Mr.
goes to
Foley-
show it can happen to even principals.
But the thing is,
Absolutely.
okay, let's
Absolutely.
continue with the school theme here, though. Even if you do that, you still then have to resubmit the work. Now, yours is now 4 years
4
late.
years late, which means, by my counting, to make up to it, sort of with interest owing,
Yeah.
not only is it a continental with eggs,
Yeah.
but I'd like to see pancakes, I'd like to see waffles,
And champagne for those over 18.
I'd like to see champagne or a non-alcoholic sparkling wine, and a selection of cold meats.
All right, look, we're more than happy to put on a special breakfast.
I mean, do you
initially-
remember the season?
Sorry?
Do you remember that season for Year 8A?
Of course,
I remember that soccer season. They were amazing, and they've continued to be amazing throughout the school. And I remember Donnie, because Donnie's also an outstanding basketballer for us, and he's quite tall, so he maybe doesn't need to eat too much for breakfast. His growing might be done.
Well, unfortunately, he's looking at a 50-point deficit off his enter score because he claims he hasn't been able to focus on his studies because of this breakfast.
So, Mr. Foley, can we get on the record that you may, in fact, send out an invitation, perhaps in the next few days, to the entire 8A soccer team saying, sorry for the late...
4-year anniversary breakfast.
Yes. Not a may. It will absolutely happen. And I can tell you it won't be sort of leftover toasted sandwiches.
No.
It will be a special breakfast just for that 8A team.
Oh, fantastic.
And that's the
I feel sorry for the kids that have joined since then, but this is a retrospective breakfast. What's the school motto there, Mr. Foley?
Oh, gee. Fidelis... You've caught me out there.
Oh, sorry. Breakfast for all. Breakfast eventually.
If you win every game, there's breakfast for all.
That is a great
I'd love to hear the Latin version one day. Breakfast infinitum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Foley. Well
No
done,
problem,
Donny.
Hamish.
That's happening. That is incredible. What a wonderful school. What a wonderful principal.
Fantastic.
I'd go to that school.
That's what you want to see. You want to see
Absolutely.
principals following through on breakfast. I'm sending Sonny to a school that promises the most breakfasts.
It's the happy hour. Hey, a mate of mine's newly single.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah.
Or her?
And, it's a he.
Good.
And he's probably coming up on 5 months now, and decided on the weekend to commence a certain type of behaviour that he'd never trialled before, but probably is very, very common.
Prowling?
Well...
Is it prowling?
It's pretty close.
Creeping?
He was nervous about it. You tell me what category it goes into. It's randomly adding girls on Facebook that you have no idea who they are, but just essentially
Well, you just
like the look of.
straight just off the
So,
bat.
just have a real good stroll through a web walk. Straight
really
through
depends.
Facebook and just go, she's pretty hot. I'm going to add her.
It really depends. When you say friends, when you say Facebook friends, do you really want them to be your friends, or are you more... It's really just depends on your interpretation of Facebook, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are you more or just cultivating sort of a 500-person party that you wouldn't mind
Yeah.
attending? Are you happy to share your life with?
Anyway, he had added 7 randoms.
Yep.
And Facebook, you obviously need that friend request to be
Sure.
answered and accepted. And he was 0 from 7
Not surprisingly.
after a week.
Yep.
He got one. He got one reply.
I would be nervous.
So, or one ad.
I would be nervous about her.
Anyway, so he's like, great, now I have the option to message her and it'll go into her inbox. What's the right thing to say? Right? And I said, oh, look, mate, I don't know. I'm not on Facebook.
Well, you can go with honesty, which is I added you purely because I saw you and I want to physically make love to you because I don't know anything else about you and I can't know who you are.
Well, we discussed honesty and then he's...
Or, yeah, just go a bit more of a, oh, I just love meeting new people. The fact that you're hot, I barely noticed. It was a total accident.
He went with honesty and then he said, add a joke. Can you add a joke at the end?
What'd you go for?
Well...
So what did he say? I find you physically attractive.
I'm about to read you the message.
That's purely why I added you.
I'm about to read you the message, right? And then I've added the joke. He thinks...
I hope it was in the message. I hope it was all caps, and here's a joke. I hope he gave it a headline. Allow me to finish with the joke.
He hasn't heard back from her, and blames the joke.
You can't blame the joke. What you can blame is the fact that he's just adding hotties.
Let's bring Liza. Eliza works with us here, and she can give us a female perspective. Liza, I mean, you probably get heaps of random people adding you.
Would you accept random friends?
Yeah, you probably get a lot of people
Actually,
adding.
if they're a babe, I would.
Okay, well, at least both sexes are being honest.
Yeah, exactly. So then what are you hoping for from that first message from them if they are a babe? Like when they...
That's a good question. I don't know,
So
it's
shall I-
weird. It's
shall I
very
read you
odd.
this?
Yeah, go.
Okay, and then you'll know...
So this is from pretend you've just accepted a babe.
That I don't know and we have no mutual friends?
Yep.
Correct.
And then the
Ooh,
babe
so
writes
odd.
you this message.
Okay,
Yeah. So it has
okay.
to be pretty amazing to
Okay.
get over the
Is
creepiness.
the friend a babe?
The friend's a babe.
Okay, great.
Yeah, well, as in my mate.
Let's just assume
Yeah.
all people involved in this story are either hotties or babes,
Okay.
just for safety.
Well, I assume that he was desirable. I don't find him too attractive.
Would
but-
you know my taste?
Yes, you would.
Okay, yeah.
But
Good.
Oh, what footy team does he play for? could be state, could be local.
Anyway, so he's written, "Hey Lucy, I noticed your photo while I was on a friend's page and thought it was striking, so I added you." right? So that's the
Yeah.
honesty part.
Yeah.
If this is too creepy, here's the number from Crime Stoppers.
Oh, that's the joke. That's the joke part.
But I promise you, it's a first offence.
Oh, the word offence. The word offence sticks out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The word offence means you're thinking too much
Yeah,
about
it's like-
exactly
yeah,
what sort of
exactly.
offence this
Yeah.
would be.
Okay,
Yeah.
so have I let him down with the joke?
Like the first bit's great. The like
non-joke.
the Crime Stoppers bit, but then about the offence, a bit much.
I think it's probably too, like, it's that thing, it's the devil's in the details, and it might be death by specifics there, because it's sort of like, here's a number for Crime Stoppers. By the way, I promise it's the first offence. ...
Like he
I haven't
knows.
been arrested before for finding someone on
Yeah.
Facebook and then using their IP address to track them.
it's
And
like
by
he
the
knows
way,
how it
so
works.
if you see a blue Magna, that's not me.
So do you think if he doesn't get a response, it's my fault?
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the drawing board for you.
Sorry, Lies, but you could find it.
Yeah,
who
if
this
he's
goes.
send him my way.
It's the happy hour, Hamish and Andy. Today the topic is soccer, and it's time for...
Dog's a registered member of the team. Checking your rule book, but you won't find anything in there that says a dog can't play.
Hamish and Andy.
Our loophole hunters.
He's right. Ain't no rules that the dog can't play basketball.
Yes. There is no rules for the dog can't play basketball, according to that film.
Therefore, Anda, on the eve of the World Cup starting, we thought, can we just have another look at the rules and regulations of the world game, football, a.k.a. soccer, to Australians? Can we find an advantage? Can we find an advantage for Australia or any team that's bold enough to take on our plans?
Strebre joins us. He's a referee, an international referee, as well as an A-League Football Federation fellow. Strebre, thank you very much for joining us.
Not a problem, guys. How are you?
Yeah,
We're fantastic, mate. And first of all, discussing there briefly the concept of a dog playing NBA basketball, what would the rule in the FIFA rulebook, the International Federation of Football, what would the rule be that says a dog cannot play in the World Cup?
Yeah, look, obviously, if a dog comes onto the field and stops the ball from going into the goal, unfortunately, the referee will disallow the goal and we'll have to restart another way.
What if the dog is if we were winning, could we release thousands of dogs?
Yes, you definitely could, and the referee will just have to stop play. So definitely a way that we could, if we were up 1-0, so definitely a way that we could, halt play.
So Australian fans booked out the entire defensive half, and we all had a greyhound each that was trained to chase the ball. And any time it looked like someone was, one-on-one with the goalie, we all just released, say, 50 to 100 dogs.
Yeah, definitely it would work. Yep.
Great.
That's it, right.
Okay, well that's our first
a good one.
competitive advantage.
Is there anything in the rule book, Strebre?
I mean, the referee would get a bit sick of it. They'd have some words with that.
I just think security at the gates of all these venues. As we all walked in with
30,000 dogs.
Seeing eye greyhounds. Pretending we're blind on the way. All right.
Okay.
Is there anything in the rule book, Strebre, that says you can't, like, say, could your team outfit be the same colours as the referee's outfit? So when you're out there, it would appear like the referee's an extra player, which would really put off the defence.
Yeah, look, we try, and the referees have a few different colours. So we look at that before we go out onto the field. So we're different to the players.
They've thought of that. Okay, another one. A lot of my, I realise a lot of my loopholes are about protecting a lead. Yeah. This again would be a good trick to use. Say we were 1-0 up and we just needed the win. Is it illegal for, say, we've got the ball, I lie down and I lift up my top. Then Andy kicks the ball up my top, and then I capture it under my shirt, right? So I've now captured the ball between my shirt and my top.
Yep.
I haven't touched it with my hands. It's now pressed against my tummy.
Well, I mean, if it looks like it's accidental, yeah, sure. I mean, you've got to take into account the referees have got a lot to think about during a game, and with the communications equipment these days, there's a lot of big issues that the referees talk about.
So then if Hamish ran away from every player...
how would they get it out? I mean, if they went to kick it out of my top, is that a dangerous tackle?
Yes, it is.
So essentially, could I run down 30 minutes with the ball up my top?
For a couple of metres, maybe, and then it would have to get out somehow.
What? So then the ruling is if you've got your ball up your top too long, is there a specific rule with regard to the ball being up your top?
Unfortunately you can't have it up your top.
Okay. How about this?
But
then?
I mean, there's no specific rule though that comes to mind.
Yeah, no.
A bit of common sense might kick in from the ref.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. 2 quick ones then. I know because we know you're a busy man.
That's okay.
First one: can the goalie wear oversized gloves?
So how big can his gloves be?
Pretty much to cover his hands. Now, it could be perceived that he's got very big fingers, so...
What about 5 metre long fingers?
Yeah, look, maybe not.
Yeah.
No, but is there a rule? Like, what if he's... I like an Ando. What if he had gloves on that were 3 metres long each, and he tied the ends of his gloves to each goalpost, so he just had...
Would there be is there a rule against that?
As long as the equipment is safe to himself and everybody else, then he can wear the gloves.
Okay, quick. What about net gloves? So his gloves are a giant net that he ties across the front of the goals.
He can't wear those.
Can't have net gloves.
Okay, quick last one because we've got to go. But can the goalie against defending? Could the goalie paint? Is there anything against the goal painting the ball green so it's quick? It's hard. Like say every time he got it out of the back.
Yeah. What if he had green paint in his drink bottle? Yeah, and he spat green paint all over the ball.
Yeah. He couldn't do that either. There's probably 10 balls that come through a match, and if a ball's damaged, then they'll have to be replaced.
It's a lot of paint to put through your mouth. Can I ask one quick please, Jack? I know we've got to wrap this up. Is it illegal to dig a hole on the field with your boots and your hands? To then, in the second half, if you're one up,
just put the ball
in the hole and you protect the hole.
Look, it is illegal to dig holes. I mean, you should get a yellow card for marking the field. But
they've thought of it.
If the referee doesn't see it, then...
No, I'm thinking like 2 metres deep. He'll see it.
Straight break. Thank you very much. Good luck out there.
I love the dog one, though.
Not a problem, boys. Enjoy it.
Cheers, buddy. It's the happy hour, Hamish and Andy. Go buy some dogs, everyone. Running out of time, Ham. Time for slip one more thing in, I understand.
And this email comes in, hamishandy.com/topics from Happy Lassie Lucy, writing and telling us of a high school soccer match. Mm-hmm. She was playing soccer at high school. She said not very good at it. And I don't think played in wasn't playing in a league where it was sort of, they knew they weren't going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
During one of her matches, she says, I accidentally headbutted a girl when we were going for the same header. Unfortunately, she passed out cold.
Oh, wow. So she's
knocked out a girl, which is a hard thing to do in soccer, being a non-contact sport.
But a head clash might bring that on.
Head clash could definitely bring it on. But you would assume it would create a fuss.
Oh,
a concussed high school student.
If someone was knocked out flat on the ground.
Knocked out in a high school match is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a serious legal issue, right? Immediately as the ref, parents, everyone on the ground has that little bit of a child is unconscious. She says the ref didn't seem to mind too much because he just put some cones around her and kept playing. It wasn't until later in that game another girl from my team broke someone's leg by accident that the ref ended the game. I thought it was pretty ridiculous, but at least we won. Now, I find that incredible that a child would be unconscious and that the cones would just be put around her. To verify this story, not that I'm calling you a liar, Lucy, but she joins us now. Lucy, I have to cry foul on that. And if it turns out that that's a made-up story, I'm going to have to red card you, which means you're out for the rest of the show and you're not allowed to listen tomorrow.
No, it was definitely true. I just headbutted her by accident, not on purpose. I'm not that kind of aggressive person.
Yeah.
But then she just fell over. I didn't really notice, but the ref blew the whistle, and then everyone stopped for a couple of minutes, and then they've just put some witches hats down. It's like she was sort of near the edge.
But why didn't anyone help her or
own
stretch
team
her
or
off?
Parents or family or anyone?
What sort of parental supervision was happening at this match where they're just like, don't worry about that person that's knocked out, just as long as the ball doesn't hit him again.
There was a few games going on at the same time, so I don't know, maybe they were distracted or something.
But why, rather than just putting out like a caution wet floor sign around this unconscious girl,
wouldn't you just take her to the side or the sick bay or something?
No, well, she was almost off the field, so she was kind of there.
But would you say, did they bring in the sideline markings around her, or was it her own special area? How much leeway were they giving her with these cones around her?
Well, like, I feel like her feet were almost at the edge, and so they just got a few more, like they must have just had some extra ones, like the flimsy ones, not like the strong ones, and just put them around her. Yeah.
All right, so even if the ball hit one, it still wouldn't have protected it from the ball from going into her head. Did the play...
I guess so.
What is this, ref? Did the play come near her at all?
No, not really. We scored after that.
And then
they were one man down, and we wouldn't let them have a sub because she was still on the field. One of their key defenders was asleep on the sidelines.
Thank you, Lucy.
Was she okay? Did she regain consciousness?
Yeah, well, the ambulance came when the girl broke her leg, so I think she went with her.
Oh, two for one.
Exactly. Now it's worthwhile.
We're going to shop a docket.
All we got time for this afternoon, HamishDaddy.com. Keep sending your ideas in, helping us build the show just like Lucy has at HamishDaddy.com/topics. Always more topics going up. We'll catch you tomorrow, everyone.
Have a good one.
That was the Hamish and Andy Show podcast, powered by Amy. Lucky you're with Amy.